Welcome, everybody. This is John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling, and welcome to the Raging Verbalist number 135. This is a very special edition of it. I guess it's a special edition because it is Independence Day. Yay! So we're getting you ready for the weekend, getting ready to go over some things, and don't usually touch political stuff, but who knows? We may wander into that a little bit because things are going a little crazy now. But always, you can always go to positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com. Check out all the stuff. There's some free merch over there. And you can get, of course, my book and have it signed and say, declare your independence. So with me, as always, to brighten our days, to make us cheery, to make us happy is the ever lovely Sandra. Welcome, Sandra.
Hello. Happy Independence Day to you.
Thank you. Happy Independence Day to you. So let's dive right in, because I know there's people who are probably burning meat on grills, swilling libations. So what do we have? How do we, kick us off?
All right. So how should we recognize the value of independence in our lives?
We live in such unique times, and we live in such great times that I think if you went back in, you had a time machine and you went back and you saw what was going on before. There are so many things that you can do today that you couldn't do, 100 years ago. For all the bitching and pissing and moaning and whining and but I think what you have to do is you have to say that there's value in independence. We have freedom of travel, freedom of movement, freedom of thoughts. I know that some of this stuff is getting there are some who want to impinge upon it. But we have a great way to do it. And I think that you have to recognize that there's a value in that. And that some of the things that you were destined or had to do, you don't have to do anymore.
All right. So during challenging times, do we seek dependence or independence? And why is this important?
Whenever there seems to be tough times, and we are in that, we have inflation is up, gas prices are up, things are going on, is that there's always this sense of us turning back to, that higher power, if you will. And I'm not talking about in an ecclesiastic fashion, but we want to turn in and say, we want more dependence. And when the pandemic hit, it was, will the government give us money? There are all these people who have quit their jobs because they said, well, I can kind of make do and the government will take care of me and all of that. All I can tell you is that dependency is not the best place to be at. I would rather be independent and be able to do what I want to do and not have somebody essentially dictating my life. So to me, I think there is so much value in being independent and having freedom. That's why I'm a libertarian, is that I think that people need to be free to pursue their dreams, their direction, what they want to do. And by saying that, anybody who, and there's just a crazy trend that's going on. I don't want equality of life. I want opportunity that I can go seek. I want freedom to seek opportunity. I want to be able to rise to become the best that I can be. And what I suggest to anybody who's out there is that if you're looking for somebody to level the field for you, all I can tell you is mediocrity sucks. And I think that you should always drive to getting to that bigger and better place. And that drive, that motivation, that striving, it's no guarantees in life, are going to give you a richer, fuller, better life. And that's why I think that we should value independence much more than dependence on anyone else.
All right. So do you have your own personal independence story?
Well, I'm going to turn it around because a few years ago, I was at Freedom Fest and I had given and again, I don't have business cards usually that have like my name and number on them. I know this kind of sounds strange, but they'll have like a purpose. Like I have one for my book, so I can, do that. And I have one for other things. But if I meet somebody who I think is going to be a valuable member of my team and somebody who I'd like to, work with, what I do is I take out a 3x5 card. By the way, if you don't have 3x5 cards, go out and buy them. They're cheap. The other thing is you don't have to worry about charging time or any of those things. Anyway, I wrote out meticulously, or as best I can, my name and my direct cell number, which no people don't usually get, and the email that's going to get email box is going to get read. And I handed it to this person, and then nothing happened. Now, I'm not surprised by that because I hand these out with a fair degree of regularity. So life goes on, we move on. I get to the next Freedom Fest and I walk over, and here is this person who I had handed that card to. And there was this kind of sheepish look. And I thought, well, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. I walked up, and this person kind of moved out of her booth so her employer couldn't hear it. I have to admit, I lost your card, but I'd like to talk to you. And that person is the lovely Sandra. So Sandra has a great independent story. Now, she doesn't see it as such, because whenever you experience something in life and you do it, you don't see it as being that unique. It's what you did. But as you'll see from this story, she told this to my brother and I when we were interviewing her, and this made all the difference. Now, it wasn't like she said, "Oh, I want to work for you," and it took some time, and we got to know each other, and I had to meet her family. I was getting a little bit nervous there. I mean, it's what's going to happen, but it all worked out. So, Sandra, why don't you tell your independent story, and wherever she kind of gets a little bit, where she's not going in enough, I will dive in with some further color commentary. But she told me this story, which fascinated me, because though she thinks it's just normal that someone would do this, none of her friends did anything close to that. So tell us your independent story.
You're really talking up the story, man. Gosh.
It's going to have to be good. It's going to have to be good. Yeah.
I hope I don't let anybody down. Okay. So when I was younger, I kind of get bit by the acting bug, and like acting, modeling, fashion. I loved all that. Grew up in a farm, middle of nowhere, not even a stoplight in the town, just a couple stop signs. That's about it. And when I was 17, I graduated a little younger, and I decided I'm going to move to New York. I got an opportunity. I'm going to take it. And so, but I didn't have the money. So I thought, oh, how is this going to work? And so I decided I'm going to sell one of my cows. I'm going to sell one of them. I'll have the plane ticket. I'll, pack my one little suitcase and head out of town. And it was a culture shock, to say the least. That's for sure. So learned quick about how non-independent I was at that age. But I learned my independence. There you go. Like a calf trying to walk for the first time. Very, very wobbly.
Well, and the point of the story is that none of her friends did this. She had no siblings who had done it before her. Now, I didn't necessarily have a calf to sell, but she definitely did something that nobody else did, and that's part of being independent. Now, there's more to the story than that, but to me, that's an amazing story, because how do you go from a farm in Nebraska, where and you say, okay, I'm selling a cow, selling my calf, selling whatever it was, taking that money, and without any real plan, I'm going to go make it in the big city. And to me, that's a declaration of independence. And by the way, that is something that every person should think about doing. Now, I understand that, because my version of that is, and I have a couple of these independent stories. So I'll tell the later one. So I'm selling high tech. I've now gotten into high tech, and I get an opportunity to move somewhere because I live in Colorado. And what I recognize, this is a positioning lesson, by the way, for all of you, is I recognize that geographically I'm basically screwed, because though it's a wonderful place to live, it's great. People walk up and go, how can you not just get up every morning and face the west and see those majestic mountains and get a tear in your eye? And I'm like, because they've been there all my life. So you take it kind of for granted. But what I did was I decided that I needed to get into a bigger and better market if I was going to make real money in high tech, if I was going to get to my goals in life. So I worked very vigorously, and I had two offers from the same company. And one offer was to move to Houston. Now, at the time, Houston was looking okay, was, oil was doing pretty well. This is, early 80s. But Houston, it was very much a boom and bust type of town. And I went, okay, now, probably the first thing that stopped me from moving to Houston is that, dating, living with, later marrying a woman who is a media specialist. That'd be a librarian for all of you. So she starts doing research on where we're going to potentially move. And she reads a book on Houston, and she underlines passages. I'll never forget this one. Houston is known as the armpit of America. It's damp, it's sticky, and it smells. Not something you want to put on a brochure. And the other one is Orange County, California, and also covering San Diego. Now, I had won a trip to San Diego, and she and I had been in San Diego, still working as a rep, but had been there. And we went, yeah, let me go check that one out. So I took that one, and literally I had just gotten like this huge breakthrough in my life, had really gotten everything pulled together. Things were really starting to hum along. She had gotten her master's degree, signed up to teach school for a year. So she signed a contract to do that. And I said, hey, got this opportunity to move to Orange County, California. And I did. So that was really my big adult, big boy pants deal, because I moved there, and I'll never forget when I met my mentor, Big Joe. And Joe said to me, well, the difference between living in a place like Orange County and frankly where you grew up is that you'll drive past more business on the way to the airport than you'll ever find in that state. And he was absolutely correct. So that was my independence story. And it was a great story because would not have made the money, would not have seen the opportunities, would not have done any of those things had I not taken that chance and declared independence. And it's tough because that was the second time I had left my home.
All right. So how is it possible to become truly independent in today's environment?
I find it fascinating with the concept of digital nomads and the internet continuing to improve, and it really, we're really in the early stages. I know a lot of people think that we've gone a long way. Maybe we have, but not really, because the ability today to become totally and truly independent is that I'm working with people all over the world, and just 10 or 15 years ago that was probably not going to happen. So you can be truly independent because you have such flexibility. Now we're going to test all of that as we go through a global, now the pandemic is gone and now the hangover shows up. I don't know how many of you had ever had serious hangovers. One of the things I don't miss about not drinking is how bad you feel the next day. Not so bad that I had fluids, but well, I mean, not often, but but anyway. So you can be truly independent today because you can go find gigs anywhere as long as you know how to do it, and that really becomes the issue. And the point of it is that you have to decide for yourself. You have to decide today what you're going to do or not do, and then how to craft that story so you can be successful. And whether I'm talking to somebody who's a client in Lincoln, Nebraska, or talking to somebody who is in Sydney, Australia, or talking to somebody who's in London, all of them have the same ability to go out and get opportunity anywhere in the world. And that to me is the amazing part about life. Now, there are some resources, and those resources are, frankly, the book that I wrote along with Gabe Batista, which is Most Businesses Fail in the First 5 Minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. And this is available on the website Position to Win. By the way, you can always join the Facebook group. That's free for those people who are too cheap to buy the book. It's available in every digital format that we know of: Kindle, Nook, Apple. But it also is available, wrong way. It's also available physically on our website. And then also, and by the way, I'll do an inscription for you at positiontowinbook.com. You can also go to Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and say, I want a copy of this, and they can get you a real physical copy. And then on the other side is this book, which is Remote Work for a Better World, which talks about how to do things remotely. And I'm not new to this. And in fact, I did this with several co-authors. And this is a real great book for that regard. It's only available on Amazon, exclusively on Amazon Kindle. And if you do that, I believe that what you'll see is you can get more independence, because what you're going to discover is that you can work anywhere and be anywhere. And if you do it right, you can become very successful. And in fact, I was just trying to hire somebody in South Dakota, but it turned out that she already got 2 other gigs. So I got to get on her waiting list. How's that for being independent in today's day and age? Next.
All right. So what fun things are you going to do this Independence weekend?
And since I am a raging verbalist, but I'm also a person who loves what I do, so I'm working on projects all the time, we're going to go to a couple movies. Want to go see some things, and maybe even throw some more money towards Tom Cruise. By the way, for those of you who hadn't heard the news, Top Gun Maverick did break $1 billion. So we can all feel better for Tom. I think he will break the record for being the most paid guy ever. But I'm going to do some movies and probably do some cooking. I'm not a big outdoor grill person because where I live, it's going to be like 100+ degrees. So I guess grilling is you put it all outside and you let the sun burn it to a crisp. How about yourself? What fun things are you going to do?
All right. So we were also debating on a movie that might be scrapped. We'll see, to be determined. And there is a fireworks show in our current neighborhood with some longtime friends. So we'll probably go do that. And then in our new neighborhood, because we're also in the process of moving, so packing will probably also happen this weekend. Our new neighborhood has a block party, so they'll block off our whole street and we'll get a chance to meet the new neighbors. So there you go.
See, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, good.
It'll be good.
Well, and we'll report on any good movies that we see, and all of that.
All right. I need a review when you're done.
You got it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Also, can we get a shout out to our friends in Canada?
So since we're live on July the 1st, this is O Canada Day, and I will not attempt to sing your national anthem. I have friends and clients and business partners in Canada. So shout out to you, and hope you have a great day. In fact, Canadians kind of like, and I don't know if they're like interlopers or whatever, but since all those cities are relatively close to the U.S., I know that at least in Vancouver, they celebrate July 1st, and then they party over the weekend, and they celebrate July 4th. So they get, they kind of double dip. Why not? So have a great O Canada Day. Go and have a lot of fun, and do all those things. And again, it's summertime in Canada, which is cool because as I jokingly always say to my friends back east in Canada, the ice sheet has pulled back enough for people to go outside without being too cold.
All right. So they could grill,
So they can grill. Exactly.
All right. How important is it for us to continuously fight for our freedoms?
I think that we have a tendency to take whatever we have for granted, and freedom is one of those things that's easy to take for granted. And the mistake of that is that it can easily be eroded and chipped away by people who are saying that there's reasonable things that we can do or not do. Independence and freedom is a messy thing. It is not a nice and clean cut and everything is all pristine. If that's what you want, there are obviously places like Singapore. I mean, if you want a very orderly place, and again, I'm not knocking Singapore, it works for them. But I'm a person who believes that we need some of that chaos, some of that freedom, some of that independence. And I think you have to fight for it every single day. I think in your own mind, you have to think about, well, how, what do I want? Do I want freedom or do I want being controlled? And I'm of the mindset that we need freedom, and let freedom ring, because freedom is what caused this great experiment that is the United States to happen. Are there problems? Are there foibles? Are there issues? Oh yeah. But all you have to do is go look around the world. I mean, think about it this way. The European Union is so worried about climate change that what they've decided that one of the ways to fight it, and I know once I say this, all of you are going to rush to this, is that they're going to force every adapter to use a USB-C connector. Think about how much energy and time and effort they spent on coming up with this rule and regulation. And people say, well, John, but that's a good idea and everything. Yeah, except that there's a whole bunch of places where that doesn't work. So it's great that they say it and they spend that time, but I don't need that. I don't need that authoritarian reign on me. And that's just one example. And having dealt with business now for 49 years, I can tell you today we have to fight for our freedoms more than ever. And if we don't, we'll wake up at some point in time and they'll all be gone and we'll wonder where they went. And they went somewhere because nobody said a damn thing.
All right. So, what steps can you take in your personal and business life using the idea of independence to help you?
I think one of the things that you have to determine that you're responsible for your life, that you're going to get what you're going to get because of what you do and how you do it, and that the outcome is not known, that this is part of the bargain and it's not a Faustian bargain, but this is part of the deal. It's part of the bargains, how everything gets put together. And you have to make sure that you do whatever you can do and whatever you have to do. I think that every day you need to kind of declare your independence. And instead of having, again, this negative woe is me attitude, you get up and say, I'm going to fight the good fight. I'm going to put out the best effort. I'm going to have the best day I possibly can. And what I wish for every single one of you, and I think this is so true, is that July 4th isn't just a day to think about this. I mean, maybe you want to sit down and read the Declaration of Independence. I mean, I love people who quote it who've never read the damn thing. But what I would say is go out there and understand that your independence is worth a lot. You need to have a life that's worth living. And the only way you're going to get it is if you're going to be independent and free and responsible and know that you're in charge and you're driving your own bus. And if you're driving it into a ditch, that's you. If you're not, that's you. And you get to go where you want to go. Now you may say, John, there's limitations, there's issues, there's problems, there's this, there's that. That's called life. If you ever think that there's going to ever be this amazingly smooth road that you don't ever have to worry about, that's a fantasy. And by the way, that fantasy sells and sells well. But what it does is it perpetually constrains you. So what I hope you'll do is you'll go out and declare every single day that I am independent, that I'm going to go out and do the things that I need to do. And I'm going to focus on those things that are vital to me. And most importantly, that I'm going to exhibit and prove to the world that freedom is better than all of the other ways that we can do it. Never accept mediocrity when you can do better. Never accept the lesser when you can do more. And more importantly, always lean towards freedom, because if you do, you'll have more independence and your life will be worth living. And with that, I want to thank all of you who have joined us here on Raging Verbalist number 135. For myself, John Paul Mendoza, and for the ever lovely Sandra, who shared her story of independence. So if you have a cow that you want to sell and you want to go out and become whatever you want to become, metaphorically, we all have a cow that we can sell and go do something. And hopefully you'll have a great 4th to our friends in Canada, a great Canada Day, and most importantly, that you'll let freedom into your life each and every day.